In the midst of the corporate news stories of late, the story of 200 missing girls has received pretty little attention compared to other stories. 2 weeks ago, 234 Nigerian girls were abducted, allegedly by the militant Islamist group Boko Haram from the government girls' secondary school in the Sambisa forest in Nigeria. The Borno state schools closed 3 weeks ago because of what The Guardian describes as an increasing number of attacks by militants who have killed hundreds of students in the past year. The girls went back to school on one particular day 2 weeks ago because they had a physics exam. On April 14th, their kidnappers broke into the school, killed two guards, loaded the girls into trucks, and drove off. 30 to 50 of the girls are believed to have escaped. The rest of the girls, mostly 16 to 18 years old, are missing. Last week, some of the kidnapped girls' parents came forward to say that Boko Haram, whose name means Western education is a sin or Western education is forbidden, have threatened to kill them and their daughters. The Nigerian government is doing relatively little to find the girls. If you were to look at the front pages of your preferred American news sites over the last 14 days or so, or tune into your favorite news broadcasts, you'd have maybe seen just a passing reference to the story or none at all. Over 200 teenage girls stolen, believed sold, maybe raped, maybe some combination, and still American corporate media devoting almost no attention to this, barely a mention on CNN and the LA Times, just at least mentioning it a little bit. Giving more attention to this incident won't necessarily bring the girls back. We don't know what their fate is right now, but we know from experience that when worldwide and particularly American corporate media take stories like this under their wing, so to speak, it really points a very bright light at what goes on within certain organizations, within certain countries, etc. And there would be significant benefit to notifying individuals, to pointing light at what's going on in Nigeria, but it doesn't seem to be happening.
David, this is one incident involving 200 people. I mean, how many different things can we point to in Africa where there have been thousands of deaths, tens of thousands of deaths, genocide, all-out slaughter happening constantly? There were lights shed on that. You know, corporate media talked about it, but really not much happened.
Do you think maybe that's what it is, that in some sense there's so much that we could be pointing to, and it's a combination of, number one, feeling like, hey, one story amongst so many, it doesn't really make sense to cover it, and at the same time, the lack of interest in Africa. I mean, so much we hear about disproportionately small incidents that in Africa are happening 10 or 100-fold, and we just don't see coverage. And I don't know exactly why it is. I think it's a combination of these things we're talking about.
Probably. I don't know if producers, editors, and anchors are actively sitting there saying, oh, well, there's 200 girls missing in Africa. Well,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Sometimes, right, the reason that individual smaller stories are covered instead of the big ones, right? Like one kid missing, starved, or tortured and eventually found in the US versus all of the ones in Africa that die from hunger every day. We say, well, it's personalizing it. This is pretty personal. It's 200 specific girls from a specific school. It's no longer the behemoth of 10,000 children a day dying in Africa from hunger. You would think it's fitting that corporate media structure of, hey, it's personal, in a way that would lend itself to more coverage, but we still don't see it.
I guess not personal enough. When it is one or two people, one child, and there's this amazing story, I guess it just makes for a juicier segment.
We are member supported, and there's a whole other show that we do just for our supporters. Get all of those member benefits right now by going to davidpakman.com.